Well, welcome back, ladies and ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of Careers and Coffee. Have you ever? Tim Ferriss is one of my favorite authors. He has a podcast, and he introduces himself at the beginning of the podcast, and he says, "Welcome back, ladies and germs." So he always calls the gentleman germs. I went there for a second.
Like Tim Ferriss, but I always feel like when I listen to Tim Ferriss, he's like the 4-hour work week guy. I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
He had it right in like 2006 and 7. That was a great book that came out back. I think it first released in 2007. Most of the things I think still apply, but I'd have to go back and
I don't think he's working 4 hours a week anymore. I think he works about 7 days a week.
Oh yeah, that's a complete marketing scheme is what 4-hour work week was. But yeah, he's an extrememly hard worker. He probably works 70 hours a week. So
well, that's not what we want for you here at Corridor Careers and Careers and Coffee. We want you to have a little work-life balance, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So what is happening in the state of Iowa? We talked a little bit previously about the great resignation of 2021, a lot of people resigning and changing jobs, people leaving the workforce. And there was just an article that came out in Gazette a couple weeks ago, or maybe a couple days ago, about what's going to happen to jobless benefits. So unemployment insurance in Iowa, the steps to get it is going to change starting January 7th. And the reason that the governor and Iowa Workforce Development is making these changes is that in their minds, if they make job seekers seek active work more often in order to claim jobless benefits, that we will have more people re-entering the workforce. So that's their strategy, is that I don't know if they feel like the data is showing that people aren't looking for work and they're just claiming benefits. But I think there's a little more to it than that. I think it's a little bit more complex of a situation in Iowa than that. We have a severe childcare resource issue in Iowa. And if you have kids and they are not able to watch themselves, someone needs to be monitoring them. And if you cannot find childcare, it falls to you as their parent or guardian to make sure that they're being cared for. So if there are no resources for you to place that child into someone else's care, then it's going to be very difficult for you to seek work, find work, and work. So
right. Yeah.
I'm the proud mom of 3 kids. And if I didn't have someone providing me childcare resources, not only during the day, but like to get kids to school and from school, that's a big transportation issue. I wouldn't be able to work. I wouldn't be able to. It just was like direct conflict with work. So, and even with the pandemic, working from home, it's made it even more of an issue, because while you can care for your children, you can't focus on work 100% if you're having to multitask that way. So,
Well, I have a question. So let's go back. I know your kids are of school age now, maybe late elementary up into high school. When they were younger, or say when any of them was maybe still, pre-kindergarten, what did you and your husband do for childcare at that point?
So those were big discussions, and those are always conversations that you have to have as a family to decide what's best for your family. And at the time, with my oldest, when we had the benefit of getting her into Head Start, which was a great program, and Head Start still exists. It's basically a free childcare program if you qualify income-wise. But the problem is there's a huge wait list. And I think in Cedar Rapids, and I don't know the status of it right now, you should look into it if that's an option for you. If you fall into the income requirements, look at Head Start. It's a great program, really good childcare. And that's the other thing, is you don't want to just throw your kids anywhere that you can pay. Like if it's a good program, they're going to get really good pre-K education, which Head Start is a great program like that. The Cedar Rapids School District did get some additional pandemic resources to expand pre-K. So the school district actually offering like early childhood education, but sometimes that's not like 5 days a week or the amount of time you need in order to work a full-time job. So there are limits to that. And then the big issue for childcare right now is that they don't have enough workers working in childcare.
Sure.
Because there's too much competition with wage. So if you can make a better wage working at Target than you can working in childcare, unless you're super passionate about childcare, you're going to choose to work at Target. And so that's kind of the issue that's happening right now. And it's very complex.
Yeah. And I have some friends with very young children, right? And they, maybe both parents work, and I know they've had discussions about, the rising cost of just going to, preschool, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the, it almost became a point for some of them where it was like, it almost made sense for one of the parents just to stay home because the cost of preschool was so high. Like if they had maybe more than one kid pre-kindergarten, it would make sense for them to just stay home.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really interesting to me. That just creates a whole different dynamic. Like when I was growing up, I I was lucky that I grew up in Cedar Rapids. My dad had worked at Rockwell. I went to the Rockwell like daycare center. So it was like the employees, kids that went there. I have no idea what the cost of that was, or if I'm sure it was subsidized somehow from the employees there. But I know that if that didn't happen, I was just going to like the neighbor's house, like
Right.
because one of the parents was home there, and that's what I did even after school into elementary.
Yeah. And so our situation was, our kids were young back in the last crash. So we had to make, like 2008, we had to make a lot of choices that we wouldn't necessarily make now. But like, well, I mean, maybe we would, I don't know. But, we chose to move in with family so that family could help assist us with childcare. And then when that just, when grandma decided like, this is not for me, then we had to come up with other choices. So it didn't work out exactly as we planned. And then in the end, we did have one of us stay home, which turned out to be my husband. So he's been a stay-at-home dad for many years. And that is a very tough choice because there's a lot of stigma around a stay-at-home parent when it's a man versus a female. Like,
Sure.
Even from my family, I'm sure they were like, when are you going to get a job? It's like, that is the job.
Sure. Yeah.
So
and that is a full-time job.
It is a full-time job. I mean, even now
yeah.
it's like carting them back and forth with 3 different schools, and they all have end times at different times. It's a nightmare. So I do want to point to some resources. So we're talking about the problem a lot. Everyone, if you're dealing with childcare, there's a problem, and you don't need us to tell you that there's a problem with childcare in Iowa. What you do need are resources. And so there are a few different websites that you can go to. There is something called the Iowa Childcare Resource, and I will put in the show notes the link to it. But you can get free referrals for childcare based on what your needs are, because everybody's childcare needs are different. So if you work a different shift than day shift, you're going to have very specific childcare needs. And so the Childcare Resource and Referral Program can just kind of like listen and see what your issues are. You can also go through their kind of like step-by-step online referral process. So you don't actually have to talk to a person if you don't wish to, and they can give you some consultation on the licensed preschools, what centers and non-registered home providers are available in your area. And it's statewide too. So it's not just for Cedar Rapids.
Gotcha.
So we'll throw that in the show notes.
Yeah.
211 is another resource. So if you need assistance in any variety of things, 211 is a great resource to call. You just use your phone, you call 211 and you let them know, hey, I'm struggling to find childcare. I'm trying to work right now.
Oh, and is that an Iowa resource? Specific to Iowa, or?
No, it's nationwide, but I know that Iowa uses 211 for a lot of state resource referrals.
Gotcha. Very good to know.
The other one is don't forget about Iowa Work. So Iowa Workforce Development, who is going to be changing the structure of how you get unemployment, is also going to be hiring case managers. So job seekers will be paired with a case manager, and the case manager will assist them in connecting with the resources that they need. So there are things that are, there's childcare specific to job seekers. So there is childcare options for job seekers that Iowa Works can get you hooked up with, because they know that you're going to need childcare in order to seek work and, you know, do interviews and all that stuff. They want to put you on that path of progression to a role. So don't forget about talking to them. I know it can feel like when you're talking to an institution like the state or things like that, it can feel like there's a lot of demands on you as a job seeker, and it can feel a little bit overbearing, but they do have the connections to all the resources that are available and can help guide you in a way that will get you connected with those resources. So don't neglect those.
Oh, that's awesome. Great, great insight. And yeah, we'll link to the resources in the show notes here.
Yeah. So hopefully we can help get you connected to the childcare resources that you need. And if you don't, if you're in and you end up with none of these things quite work out for you, some other options that you can do is shift work. So if there are a couple people in your home where one person can watch a child while the other person is at work, you could consider doing shift work where you'll work a different shift as the other person, maybe just for a short time. We've talked previously about like a Gazette route. That's another option for some people. Like, we want to deliver the paper in the morning. They're going to be done by the time kids need to go to school or need to go to preschool or whatever the thing is that they need to get to. So that is definitely an option as well.
Yeah, I got ham and egg it a little bit, maybe.
Maybe. And it's not, you know, it's in an ideal world, there would be great childcare around the corner from everyone that wants to use it. But we're going to try to get you hooked up with the resources that do exist in Iowa and help you get to that path that you need to.
Awesome. Well, any parting words? Otherwise, I think we can call it a wrap on this week's edition of Careers in Coffee.
Yep. And I hope everyone has a great holiday.
All right. Thanks, Liz.